In this video tutorial, we're going to be showing you how to make a duck's leg because this is quite a new technique, which is chaining and then joining a chain into a circle. So we're going to show you how that's done. The pattern is from our Daisy Ducken family, which is available from weewoolywonderfuls.com. The pattern forms part of our kit, or you can just get it as a PDF download. So our duck's leg is, I will show you, this is what we are going to be making, the leg part. There will be a separate video to show you how to do the toes on the foot. So we're going to be making the leg. Instead of doing a magic circle and working in spirals for that, it's got a hole at the top and bottom, so it's a slightly different technique. So let's get started. Our first instruction for the leg is to chain 8 stitches and join to make a circle. So we're going to do that first. There is a separate video tutorial for a chain if you want to see it in more detail, but we'll show you here. So we're going to do a slip knot, which is just form a loop, put our wool that leads to the ball behind the loop and gently put it through. And there's one slip knot. So now we're going to chain 8 stitches. So to chain, we're just going to keep hold of that here so it doesn't slip around the hook. Wrap our yarn over to keep hold of everything so it stays in place, and just pull through the loop, and that's one chain. And you can see it's like a V shape, an upside down V shape. So 2 stitches, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we now have 8 chains. We can double check by counting them. The little line that goes across the bottom doesn't count because that is our slip knot. So what we're looking for is the V's. We're going to count the full V's. So that doesn't count, the bit I've just covered with my nail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that is the 8th stitch there, right next to our hook. Don't count the loop on your hook, that's just your working yarn, not counted. So we have 8. So now we're going to join them to make a circle. So the easiest way I found is hold it flat. It's very important you don't twist it around. Keep it flat, fold that in half, and we're going to be working into the first stitch. Now normally we work into both sides of the V. Because we only have the V's like so, we can't work underneath the whole thing because we're just going into nothing. So we have to work just into the middle of the V. We're just working into the middle of the stitch, and that is just for this first round. And then after that, we'll have our normal V's to work on. So fold it over, and we're going to work into here. So we're just turning it into a circle. So we'll go into our first stitch, which is here. And we're just going to work a double crochet. So this is what it means by joining to form a loop. So we've done 1 double crochet. So I'll read what the pattern says. It says that we're working the second row of stitches into the gap between each chain, which is what I've just showed you. Daisy's leg is tube shaped. That's just described so you can tell what type of thing we're making. And we're going to double crochet 5 rounds. So we're just going to go around 5 times. So we've started that link going around. So we've just joined our chain. See, I've put it down and now look, I'm a little bit, where are we? Back to it. So we've gone into this one here. So now we're going to go into the next one. So we're just going to go into under one loop for each one because it's the only way we can do it. So that's 2. So now we've worked into that one, we can see. I'm going to go into the next one. Four. They're a little bit tricky to see when you're first working, but we'll just keep it flat. We don't want to twist it. So just watch that you're keeping it nice and flat and not twisting all your stitches around as you work. So just gently move along like so. So we've worked into this one, so that's our next one. It's a little bit tricky. Just count your stitches to make sure that you're on track. So that's the last one there. And this, as you can see, is our slip knot where we first joined it. So we're going to look for our next stitch around. So you can see here, look, it's forming a circle with a tube. We'll get our finger in just. So we're just working all of the way around. And once you get to the next round, you're going to be working as normal. If you see now, it's formed into a circle with a hole in. Now you can see you've got your normal V's, which you work into as a stitch. So we're just going to double crochet into those, and we're working round and round. So the main difference is it's just not blocked at the end with a magic circle. It's just a chain joined, and then we're just going to keep on working in our circles until we have got 5 rounds. Now, for the sake of the video, I might actually do it a little bit less than 5. But as long as you make sure that you use your stitch marker and count your 5 rounds to make sure that our daisy's legs are the correct length. But for this, I think I'll just do a couple, and then I'll show you how to do the knee. So here we go. So we're just working around as normal now. Once you've done the first round is the trickiest. Joining and then doing that first round, just because you're working into 1/2 of the loop. So we've worked this one, we're going to the next one. Once you've done the first one, you can see our stitches again. Just make sure you keep it tube shaped. If it's all like this and flat, you will find it hard to see where you're working, so pull it and make sure you've got a tube shape, because otherwise you will struggle to see where your stitches are. So we're just going to keep going around circles. Please use your stitch marker. I'm not for the sake of the video, simply because I'm just going to do it a bit shorter, because otherwise you may get a little bit bored of me just going round and round and round for ages. So you'd use your marker, go around and do the normal number of rounds, just like you normally would. So just going round and round and round. So you can see the leg shape forming, like so. And we can count our rows if we're not sure. Now the instruction is to do rounds 2 to 6 around, so it's 5 rounds around. So let's see how many we've got there. We've got a beginning 1, 2, 3. So we've done about 2 to 3 rounds there. So I'll just make them a little bit more, but say still, just as you normally do, pop your marker in and count those 5 rounds. When you've done your 5 rounds, rounds a little bit shorter, just for the sake of keeping the video short enough to be to not be too boring. So once you've done your 5 rounds, the next instruction is increase times 8. This forms the knee. So all we're going to do is increase this all the way around in each stitch. We're going to do an increase. We'll just do that as we would normally. So that's an increase, and we just do an increase all of the way around. Again, make sure you count your stitches. It is when you join the circle, it is easy to lose one. If you've lost one right in that first round, when you count them, if you have 7, simply just do an increase to get yourself back to 8. It's very easy to lose a stitch at that point. So just count them after that first round, and just pop in, doing one increase if you're short. So we're nearly there. We're on the last one, and this is forming our knee. See, now we can see it's grown. So there's a leg, and then it comes out for the knee, and then it'll go back in again. So that's our increases. And our next round tells us to just double crochet 16. So that's just a normal round where we're just going to do 1 stitch in each. So we're just going to do a double crochet in each stitch around, and then I'll show you the next stage. all the way back to our marker. Move our marker. And our next round is decrease times 8. So simply as you would normally, so just bear in mind the only difference really is how you start it. You're starting with a chain instead of a magic circle. So we're just going to do decreases all the way around. And this is just making us have a big knobbly knee. So Daisy looks like she's got big knees. Adds a little bit to her character, I think. Oops. One doesn't want to go on my hook. Get on. Oops, that one's split, so I'll do that. So we're doing the front loop only method. It's invisible decrease, like there is a separate video for that. So that just makes it far less visible. Right, so we're nearly there. Right, so we've done our decreases all the way around. Move our marker. And then the next instruction is 10 to 14, we're double crocheting 5 rounds. So we're just going to go 5 rounds around like we did earlier. So just 1 double crochet stitch in each. And we'll do that 5 times. So again, I will shorten it a little bit just so that you're not falling asleep while I do it, but you'll make sure that you count your 5 rounds around to make sure her legs are long enough. So 1 double crochet in each stitch all of the way around, and then we would just keep doing that until we've done our 5 rounds. So you can see the leg shape forming. It'll be a little bit longer. Yours should be a little bit longer because I skipped some rows for the sake of the video. So there's the knee, and then as we're working around, you can see the top part of the leg. Growing. I'm not going to do the full 5 rounds again. What I'm going to do, let's pretend we have done our 5 rounds and our leg is finished, and the next instruction is to slip stitch and fasten off. So we're just going to do a slip stitch, which is just going into the next stitch, grabbing our yarn, pulling it through both loops, clip it off. We'll leave a bit so that we can sew it on like so. So your leg will look like this, but just longer here and longer here. And we're going to pop a little bit of stuffing in there. Now what we're not going to do is stuff it really firmly, because we want Daisy to be able to bend her knee. So a good idea is just to pop a tiny bit in, top and bottom, but don't fill the knee solid. You can pop a tiny bit in, but don't fill it solid because she won't be able to bend her legs. And when she's sat up, she does look much cuter with her legs bent than she does if she can't. If they're long, if they're stiff and just straight up and down, it's not as effective. So if we make short before we fasten, before we sew these on, make sure that you can bend the knee. So we'll make sure that's only got a tiny bit of stuff in, or that the knee part is empty, so that when she's sat, her knee bends over. So she can have it straight if she's sat up, or it will bend over if she's sat. So I hope that's helpful for making Daisy's legs. A little bit of a new technique. And I hope you enjoyed that tutorial.